This is an NP241 DHD transfer case. It comes out of a second generation Dodge Ram 3500, and I'd like to have a look at the shift fork on the inside and also replace some seals. I'd like to replace the drive chain. This nut here for the drive flange, I'd like to remove that, but the transfer case is already out of the truck, so I could use an impact to remove it, but I think that would put some extra hammering on the bearings that I don't want to do. So what I'll do is, I have part of the drive shaft here still, and I'll put two holes in it, and then I'll put a bar through it, and then I should be able to get some good leverage on that nut and be able to keep it from turning. So as I was loosening off that nut, this end here it wanted to lift up, so I ended up using the welder for weight to help hold it down. And now I want to come up with a way to stand this transfer case kind of up on end. And I think I'll use this adapter here. I'll pull that off the transmission, and then that'll also give me a chance to have a look at that fifth gear retaining nut. I ran into some trouble trying to remove these adapter housing bolts. These are 12 point. One of the first ones I tried to remove is this one here. And so the socket started to turn, but the bolt did not. And it looks like it's been hit with a hammer and a chisel in the past, so maybe I already had some damage. So I went and I got a new socket, and this one is a 1/2-inch drive. So surprisingly, that new socket was able to grab onto this damaged bolt and remove it. I was kind of envisioning I was going to have to weld something on here and then remove it like in a different way. And so yeah, maybe this socket was worn or improperly made. It seems that the teeth are maybe deeper on this one. This is an NV4500 5-speed. It was also in that Dodge Ram 3500. And these transmissions sometimes have a problem with fifth gear coming loose. And so I was kind of looking for signs of either it's coming loose or that somebody has already done an upgrade to it. And I found something interesting. Okay, so first of all, what happens is this retaining nut is on thread, and it can sometimes back off, and then this gear here will slide back as well, and then the gears won't mesh, and then there's no more fifth gear. So I was looking at this. You see, this retaining nut is actually split. It's a split collar with a fastener between the two to pinch it together, and I hadn't seen one of those before. So I've got a bag of parts here for an NV4500 that I got online, and in this bag of parts I've got this locking nut, and you can see how it's been hammered on. And so I was kind of expecting to see maybe something like this. So, and you can also see that it's a one piece, or what I mean is it's not split. And well, this one is one piece as well, but it's split. This locking collar, it's got provisions for 2 set screws. So I just mounted some short pieces of 2x6 to this adapter housing. And before I get the transfer case standing on here, I want to remove a snap ring that's on a bearing here. So this is the front of the transfer case. See right here. And so this one is not a bolt hole, so that'll be oil related, I'm sure. And that works together with this here. So okay, so I'm going to get that snap ring off of here, and then I'll get this thing mounted here. So with this snap ring removed and then set up on this makeshift stand, I should be able to start removing components from this end. And so this tail housing has the bolts already off, And there's a rubber plug that goes right in here, and right now I have a light shining in there. There's a snap ring in there, so I'll have to spread that snap ring apart so that it releases off the bearing, and then I should be able to pull that housing off of there. And also the speedo drive, I've removed that from here. That's got a retaining set up here, and then it just slides in with the O-ring. So that tail shaft housing, it seemed stuck even with that snap ring out of the way. So I put some lift pressure on the housing, and at the same time I tapped on the end of the shaft with a mallet, and then that housing came right off. So now I've got some snap rings to remove. There's two, one on either side of this bearing, and there's also two for that speedometer drive. This oil pump is loose, and it's overlapping this case cover, but the oil pump, it should lift right off when the cover is lifted off. So now I'm going to remove these bolts all the way around, and there's little pry spots, see right in here, so I could get something in there and pry it loose. It seems as though someone has had this case apart before, because I can feel that someone has been prying in there. So there's a spot like this here and one on the other side as well. I marked where these long studs go, so I can get that back in the right spot. So I've damaged all four of these snap rings. This one doesn't look too bad, but looking straight on it looks a little twisted. So I'll replace all four of those. The oil pump pickup, it sits inside the housing here, and at this end it just slides in. This transfer case actually looks pretty clean on the inside. That's a plus. So one of the things that had me curious is this shift fork, and you see that little white piece where the light is shining towards? Well, that's part of a slider. I think it's probably nylon, and it attaches to the edge of that shift fork, and I'll get a better look at it once I have it apart. So I think they wear out sometimes, and when that plastic or nylon is gone or wears down, then I think that can create a lot of other problems. So yeah, I'd like to have a look at that, and I'll likely be replacing that as well. There's a magnet in this transfer case as well, and very fine debris on there. I would consider that normal wear. It's almost like mud.